It burnt down. I've seen one photo of it, and I saw one thing on Facebook where a woman posted a plea for people not to donate to the Notre Dame appeal because the church was 30 billion to the good, so it could
30 billion to the good.
Yeah, so it could build its own roof back. And give to worthier causes like starvation, stuff like that. So, all right, fair enough. At the end of the day, it's just a roof. I mean, for the Catholic Church, obviously, it's
an iconic holy place, and therefore I've no doubt that the burning of the roof of Notre Dame was very upsetting for very many people, and certainly the French people. It would an equivalent building in the UK would be essentially Big Ben burning down, or the House of Parliament. Some people may want the House of Parliament burning down at this moment in time, but an iconic building. A Buckingham Palace, if you like, and I could understand the upset. And it was also this extraordinary unfolding news story whereby you were never quite sure what was going to happen next and how much of it was going to go up. Because I first saw it, basically a loft fire.
Right.
And they cut to it because it was coming through the roof, and then all of a sudden, within the next half hour, the thing was absolutely horrendously ablaze.
It's funny with all the rioting going on as well, Paris. I really love these physical metaphors for what's going on in the world. So
I think it was. I mean, Notre Dame is known as the mother of Paris, the mother of France, as a building, and that she was hurting.
Yeah.
And I think a nation felt that pain.
Maybe they're going to have their own Brexit. France it. There was a Grenfell Tower, which obviously a couple of years, 2 or 3 years ago now.
Yeah, I mean that
was a metaphor for the state of social services, wasn't it, or the neglect?
I think it was, and the cutting of corners probably, and
standards.
The standards of Notre Dame, the standards of build within Grenfell, were probably about as safe as each other, because this roof was essentially at least 500 years old, and it was falling apart.
Was it?
Sorry?
Quasimodo. Is he Quasimodo? Yeah.
Quasimodo.
He's got to be dead, isn't he? Or moved out.
Well, I have a hope.
That rope.
Esmeralda! It's only one, that's only one. I mean, it brought out the best in the nation, because it's no doubt it brought the French people together. But it did also give an awful lot of symptoms and causes of what's going wrong around us on the grounds of Grenfell, as you mentioned. I think the whole pot that eventually is going to be shared out, I think it got to about £18 million.
Yeah.
It's an enormous amount of generosity, and I think that was supplemented by government and so on. The Notre Dame is weird. To replace this roof and to replace everything in the whole place will cost the extraordinary, enormous figure of about 600 million euros. 600 million euros. They've already raised €1 billion.
Jesus.
Because the type of people who actually had the money to make it happen there and then were the billionaires in the world.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, apparently quite a lot of those are Catholic. And obviously with Notre Dame being the iconic Catholic building in the Western world in many ways, it was something that they wanted to help with. But it was something that clicked all their buttons. And there were two factors of that I really thought needed to be looked at. One was the fact that they got the money overnight. Two, that these billionaires saw this as a great cause. And three, L'Oréal in France have donated an enormous sum of money. And guess what? It's tax deductible.
Bless me. Excuse me.
Come yourself a while.
Excuse
Never been in a battle before. Crikey, that's brought it out in you, isn't it?
I'm going to take this jacket from Michael. the jacket.
Is it the jacket?
No.
You're looking very smart anyway. So.
Yes, there we go.
But Notre Dame, I mean, the other thing is the way in which people equate to a disaster, if you like. How many people have sort of said, do you know, I was only there 14 years ago? I was there as a kid. I also went past it on the boat.
It's great, but it's one of these.
Well.
It's one of these. I get a bit tired of these. I'm never that engaged in it. Like Grenfell Tower, that's something that people died. Did people die in Notre Dame?
Nobody has died. I think there's been a couple of injuries and people going in and helping to get the stuff out.
It's a big beacon. It's like a flare going up saying that we're not looking after our poor people, or people who need that help, refugees.
Maybe that was the sign.
But and that's struggled with. The government were very reluctant because it's one of their ugly things. Notre Dame's a beautiful story because it's nobody's fault politically. It's like it's just a crisis story where there's no
it's a crisis rather than a tragedy.
It's something you want to give to because it's a nice publicity stuff. Or perhaps with the billionaires in this world, it's a symbol of the institutions of this world. The Catholic Church being one of them. That's suddenly finds $1 billion to bloody put up a roof. At the end of the day, it's a fucking roof. It's a magnificent roof, but it gives tourists pleasure. But for me, I'd be looking at the people who are starving in the world and the Grenfell Tower inhabitants of the world, and think maybe $1 billion, it could suddenly be fathomed like that, could go on something like that.
There was some extraordinary reactions. One of them was a very...
so I just pay it over most of the time. I can't do it for 50 quid. You get a gypsy to grab it.
Do you know have you seen the picture where they're going into the main body of the minster, and there is a picture of the cross on the wall, the gold cross, and one of our national papers, I think it was the Daily Mail, said you cannot go into there and not believe in God. You've had this horrendous fire, essentially, and this gold cross is still shining above the earth. How could that possibly be? Surely that is an act of God, a symbol.
Right.
And this wag basically commented on this and said, well, I've got to be honest, it's going to be there. The stone ain't going to burn. And the cross itself is made of gold. And gold does not melt until it gets to 1200 degrees centigrade. And wood fires only typically burn at about 650 degrees centigrade. And it's the way in which people give meaning to things, give meaning to buildings, give meaning. And you quite rightly say that they essentially almost do that at the expense, and expense being a good word, expense of doing things that are more worthy.
Yeah, less glamorous, but more.
And yet, that whole outpouring of feeling, that faith, that feeling of belonging, what price can you put on that to the French people and Catholics around the world? I don't think there is. Money, in some ways, is a red herring, except to say that probably our priorities are very wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. We put our priorities, we put our money where our priorities are, so it's like it's showing its importance. Obviously, the amount of money to raise shows how important it is to people. But it is essentially a material thing that people are pouring. It's a symbolic thing, absolutely, I get that. But it's not alive.
The other thing that made me laugh was the Donald Trump.
Oh, right.
On the grounds, these extraordinarily brave firefighters were essentially pumping water from the Seine, because the Notre Dame is on the heel of the city, in the middle of the Seine. And they're pumping it from them. They couldn't get anywhere near to roof in any shape or form. And Donald, in his wisdom and in his absolute way, said, well, basically you should get these flying water tankers and drop them on Notre Dame. And it's that type of, and the implication was if he was in charge, this thing would be out in 2 seconds flat, and so on and so on. And the French Fire Brigade actually took the time to respond to it. Because he basically tweeted it out and so on. And they explained that if you had one of the flying water tankers, and you were essentially dropping an enormous weight of water on Notre Dame, it would essentially hit Notre Dame at the tune of something, I think it was 650 tonnes per square inch, and would flatten the whole thing. So, I mean, the stupidity of people's reactions, and also the over-the-topness of their reactions, I guess, overshadowed my sadness, because it is a great building. I hope it is rebuilt. I think it is a great symbol of a lot of people's faith. But also, we need to put things in line, we need to put them in perspective, and we need to also look at why we value such things at the detriment of so many other things. We're always told there isn't enough money. There is always enough money for what certain people feel that we should be spending.
I'll push a bit further with the Catholic faith, okay? So what would Jesus do in this situation? If we're going to think like that, what would he do? Is he the kind of guy who wants a magnificent structure rebuilt, or would he want thousands of people to
I think he wants fed. I think he wants people to have the standard of living that he would aspire to and everyone would aspire to, which is a basic standard of living, where you eat, you're not hungry, you're clothed, you're warm, and you essentially have a positive environment around you. I mean, those are the basic steps of life, where every